Carl here again, your everyday mystic, trying to make a little bit of sense of all those mystical concepts, which basically just means helping us see clearly what's right in front of us. But through our conditioning, our society, and everything else, we don't necessarily see what's there. We see what we're told to see or taught to see. So today I just wanted to have a quick chat about forgiveness, the nature of forgiveness, and the nature of how we forgive. So the old saying goes that to err is human and to forgive is divine. Let's go see if we can go and find our humanity and possibly our divinity at the same time. When it comes to forgiveness, a lot of the time we make a mistake. We do what we would call forgiving, but not forgetting. And that is not forgiving, that's absolving. And there's a very distinct difference. To absolve someone is to free them from guilt, and to be absolved is to be freed from guilt or from any obligation or any consequence for an action. And that is how most of us think about forgiveness. We don't think about forgiveness as an act of compassion and an act of love. We think of forgiveness as an act of absolution. Forgive him, but remember his name. That's not forgiving. I myself was very guilty of that for a long time. I grew up in, let's call them adverse circumstances, and carried enough chips on my shoulder to to create quite a meal. I thought that I had forgiven a long time ago. I thought I had forgiven my dad for a lot of things he did a long time ago. And I thought after the first half of my life spent hating the man that I had gotten to a point where I had forgiven him. What I had actually done was absolved him. I hadn't forgiven him. And absolving him meant that he no longer had anything to pay for. But it didn't mean that I had forgiven him, because forgiveness is a completely different animal. And here's how I'll tell you it's a completely different animal. In order to forgive someone, you have to completely forget everything they ever did wrong to you and give them a fresh, clean slate, fresh start with absolutely no preconception of how they're going to behave in the future. And most of us are not going to be able to do that without a great leap of faith and a great leap of compassion and empathy. Because to forgive someone means ultimately to understand their motivations for doing something and to understand why they did something, and then to say, okay, they did that. But in order to forgive them, I'm going to have to come at this person like I've never met them before, like I don't know them. Because I don't know them. I know what history has told me, but I don't know what they're going to be like in the future. So in order to be forgiven, I have to, for want of a better word, I have to kill them. I have to kill who they were in my mind, and I have to kill myself. Because I can't be the same person I was to them either. So we've got to scrap everything we ever knew about the relationship we had with them and start from scratch. And this is forgiveness. This is how you forgive someone. And as I come up to the first anniversary of my dad's passing, I am very keenly aware that in the end, he was forgiven. And in the end, I rewrote how I felt about him. We made peace through understanding, because I had to learn to understand why he did the things he did, and to understand that because of the hand life dealt him and his level of perception and awareness, he only knew one way to behave, and that way was fear. He lived in fear of losing his family. He lived in fear of the guilt that he carried with him for not being the man that he always wanted to be, for not succeeding in life the way he wanted to. And he used alcohol and violence to blot that out. But mostly, what he was afraid of was losing his children. And paradoxically, he lost his children for so long because of that fear. And it was only when I realized that his fear was what separated him from us, him from me, that I realized I was able to have empathy for him and understanding for him. I didn't have to forgive anymore, because I suddenly realized there was nothing to forgive. He was just a flawed man who made bad choices. And yet he never once considered leaving us, running out on us. He always worked hard all his life to try and be a father. But by his own admission, he wasn't a very good one. So, how does that help us with forgiveness? Well, it helps me understand that in order to forgive, I have to understand and I have to have empathy. And in order to forgive, I have to learn compassion. And I have to learn enough grace to be able to say, I have no idea who you are. If you're a person who caused me harm before, or who said mean things about me, or did me wrong in some way, I don't know you anymore. But I am prepared to get to know you. I am prepared to say, hello, how are you? It's nice to meet you. And we can take it from there. And this is the nature of true forgiveness. It's not forgiven, not forgotten, as the chorus would say. It's forgive and forget. Have a good one.